So section 1.1 is talking about identifying points, lines, and planes. So we're going to start with the basic, most fundamental parts of geometry today, okay? And the most basic piece of geometry is a point, okay? Y'all know a point. It has no dimension. And the symbol for a point is just a dot, and then it has a letter for the name, okay? So like this one is the representation for point A. So I'm going to come over here on the sideboard and try to keep a list of symbols that we're going to use. So point A, let's mark it on the die, is dot with an A. That means point A. Okay? So it's kind of important for us to know our symbols. It's actually really important for us to know our symbols. All right, so if you have 2 points, you can connect them with a line. Okay? The way we represent a line, let me scroll down, is when you have 2 arrows on the end and 2 points on it. There's exactly 1 line through any 2 points, and you can use the 2 points on the line to name it. So this line right here, draw this picture, please, if you do not. Y'all need to draw your pictures in your notes unless I tell you otherwise. Now, some pictures are a little bit too complicated, and I'm going to say, open the book to this page and let's look at that picture. Because you're going to learn about Miss Isbell. She does not draw very well. Got all those genes got given to my little sister, unfortunately. Okay, so a line has arrows on both ends. Your points are labeled on it. Now this one also has a cursive L, okay, at one end of the line. So this line can be named line L. Sometimes they're M, sometimes they're N, but usually a letter close to the letter L is usually how they name a line. You can name it line AB, like this. Capital A, capital B, with a line over it with both arrows. Or you can reverse the order and call it line BA. Okay? So it doesn't matter the order you put the 2 points, just make sure with symbols you put an arrow on both ends. Okay? So I'm going to say line AB. And represent that with A and B with a line with 2 arrows over it. Okay? All right, the next definition is a plane. And I'm going to hush for a second and let y'all copy if y'all can read my handwriting. All right, I'm going to start talking. Y'all can keep writing if you're writing. A plane has two dimensions, okay? It's basically a flat surface like the top of a piece of paper or the top of a desk or a wall or ceiling or a floor or something like that, okay? Except for actual planes have no end, okay? There is one plane for every 3 points not on the same line. So if you have any 3 points that don't all fall on the same line, then you have a plane. Okay, 3 points that don't all lie on the same line make up a plane. And you can name any 3 points to name a plane. So it looks like a parallelogram right here is a plane. It's got 2 different names you could go by. Well, actually more than 2. If you see a letter up in a corner of a plane and it does not have a point with it, then that can be the name of the plane. So the name of this plane can be just M, plane M, okay? Or you can use 3 points that are in the plane to name the plane. So I could call this plane M, or I could call it plane ABC, or I could call it plane CBA, or I can call it point BCA, all right? So you either name a plane by a letter that's in the corner with no point on it, or by any 3 points in the plane, in any order, okay? No special symbol for a plane. You just call it plane ABC, for example. All right. Collinear and coplanar. Collinear and coplanar. So if you're noticing, section 1 is just introducing you to a lot of things we're going to see in this chapter. Lots of introductions happening. And that pretty much happens for every first section of every chapter we're going to do in this class. Lots of new terminology and symbols and things like this. So anytime you say the word co, that's going to mean 2 or more. Okay, they share something. Co means they share something. Just like you hear people say co-captains for a team or a squad, or you hear co-workers for people you work with. Okay, they have something in common. They share it. It's a group. So points are collinear. Now, linear, where do you think that comes from? What word? Does anybody remember from algebra? Linear comes from what word? Line. Things that are linear make a line. So collinear means 2 points that are on the same line. So points that are on the same line are called collinear. Okay? Now, what do you think coplanar is going to have to do with? Planes. So coplanar means that are points that are all in the same plane. So collinear points are on the same line. Coplanar points are in the same plane. It's kind of self-explanatory. All right. Y'all see this example? You see this picture? It's not very good, is it? I drew it, so it's not. So what you want to do is open your book with me to page 3. So go ahead and get your book out, because I'm sure it's going to give us more complicated pictures than this. This should look like example 1 on page 3. Hopefully it looks similar to it. So one thing we're going to have to do is be able to read geometric figures or drawings. Some of them are a little confusing, and sometimes we just have to stare at it for a minute to talk about to see what it's talking about. So if you look at this one, let's see if I can find a good picture. This one is a plane with a line going through it. What do you think this dotted line around here means? It's like where the line is going behind the plane, but you can't see it. Okay, so what this is actually like is this. Okay, imagine a piece of paper with a pencil through it. This is what that is. Yep, that paper is probably stiffer than mine because mine is bending. Okay? That's what's happening. It's a line going through a plane. All right? We got two lines. This one is in the plane. Is line N in the plane, though? Is this line in the plane? No, it's going through it. Okay? So if a line is in the plane, it's going to be flat to it. It's going to be on the plane. Like sitting on top of the plane. Okay? This one is like my pencil here. It's going through it. Okay? So I'm going to answer some questions about it. We're going to answer some questions about this plane. So we got our book open because we're going to scroll in a minute and we won't be able to see everything as much. It says give two other names for line PQ. That's what that means. That symbol means line because it's got two arrows. And plane 1. So what's two other names for line PQ? Which line is PQ? I'll get my red. Okay, line N. Because PQ is this line up on top that's going through the paper. Do y'all see that? Y'all see that? So we can call line PQ. We could also call it line N. Say it again? Yeah. Or we could also reverse the order of those letters and call it line QP with a line with two arrows over it. So we can actually write the word line N or reverse the order of the letters. Okay? Looking for my next part. That's supposed to be plain R. My thing got erased. So fix this to say plain R. Okay. So I need two other names for plain R. Now R is in the corner of that plane with no dots, so that's why its name is plain R. So how else can we name a plane? How many points make a plane? 3 points that are in that plane. Okay? So instead of calling it plain R, somebody give me 3 points that are in plain R. Do what? Well, those are collinear. So I need 3 that are not all on the same line. Say it again. VSP. Okay. Can somebody give me another name for that plane? VPT. Yes. And technically, you can call it something with these 3 letters just in another order also. So there's a lot of names for this plane. Okay, so you can change the order and have a different name for the plane. Does that make sense? So 2 points make a line, 3 points make a plane, and the 3 points cannot all be on the same line. Okay? So problem B says, name 3 points that are collinear. For one thing, are M and N points? No, they're names of those lines. Okay? Those are just names of those lines. They are not points at all. So give me 3 points that are collinear. Does point N have 3 points on it? No, it only gives us 2 names of points on line N. It's kind of hard for me to see. I'm scrolling back and forth. What about M? There was my message. Give me 3 points on line M. S, P, and T. And it said also to give me 4 points that are coplanar. What does coplanar mean? In the same plane. Now, question, is Q in plane R? No, so any points that besides Q will work. And obviously R is not a point because it's just the name of the plane. So give me 4 points that are in the plane R. Very good. VSPT. Y'all are doing great. Y'all doing all right? Is it clicking a little? Yeah, that light's going to go one day. All right. I want y'all to answer these 2 questions. Use the same picture so you can look at your book. I know I've had to scroll. But look at your book on top of page 3. It's the same picture, except theirs is prettier than mine. I want you to give me 2 other names for line ST, and I want you to name a point that is not coplanar with points Q, S, and T. Now that is the kicker. That's bonus question. So give it a shot. All right, I think we should have got the first one pretty easy. Somebody give me 2 other names for line ST. TS with an arrow over it on both sides, right? Or what? Line M. I was going to write the word lime. Line M. Did y'all get those 2? Okay. Could we have another name for line ST? We could use PT, couldn't we? It's the same line, isn't it? Yeah, PT or TP or any of those. Very good. Okay. A point that is not coplanar with Q, S, and T. Well, you might be thinking, well, Q, S, and T are not in the same plane. Y'all thinking that? Well, what you could do is you could actually make a plane. You can draw a plane. It's kind of like a triangle sitting on top of my paper. Y'all see that? So what would be a point that's not in that plane? Point V. Does that make sense after you draw it like that? Okay? So if it's a plane that's not drawn, you can draw the plane. Just connect the dots. So that would be point V. Did anybody get that by themselves? Geniuses. Good job. All right. Let's talk about a segment for a second. I'll let y'all copy that definition. Okay, so a line segment, we usually just call it a segment just to shorten it a little bit. So sometimes you'll hear me say segment, and sometimes you hear me say line segment. It's similar to a line, meaning that it needs at least 2 points on it. However, does anybody know the difference? In a line and a line segment, you might have seen this in junior high. A line segment has endpoints. Okay? Lines go forever. They're infinite. That's why they have arrows on both ends. Okay? Segments do not have any arrows, meaning they stop. So this segment AB stops with A and with B. Okay? So to write a segment, we just put that straight bar over it with no arrows. And again, we can reverse the arrows or reverse the order of the endpoints. So segment AB is the same thing as segment BA. Okay? Also, if I interject, like this one has a point C in it, now I'm broken it into one segment into 2 segments. So now I have segment AC here and segment CB. Does that make sense? Okay, let's talk about array. All right, to write array, you just have one arrow. So array AB would be like that. Okay, so array has one endpoint and one part that goes forever. So it does stop in one place, but the other part of the line keeps going. Okay, on this one, it does matter the order of the letters. The part that does not have the arrow is the endpoint. Okay, the letter that does not have the arrow is the endpoint. So this first picture, it starts at A and it goes through B and it keeps on going. Okay, so the end point is at point A. It stops there. So when you write the name, you got to make sure that one goes in the part that does not have the arrow. Does that make sense? You still need 2 letters to do it, but the end point is the one that's not with the arrow. So in this one, even though it's going the other direction, it doesn't matter the direction. The end point is at point B, so you got to make sure the end point on your symbol is at point B as well. Does that make sense? Okay. We're just learning lots of new things today. So then we can have things called opposite rays. So it says ray CA with endpoint at C, that would be going to the left, and ray CB, endpoint at C, and it goes through B and it keeps going, are opposite rays. So, what do you think you can tell me from this picture that 2 opposite rays make? Yeah, 2 opposite rays make a line. So 2 opposite rays will make a line. They're 180 degrees going in both directions. It's going to be straight forever. Same endpoint. So they're starting at point C, going on forever. They're making a line. Okay? Okay, so here's another figure. You can copy this one from the board. It's not difficult. It's just 2 lines intersecting. So it's got 2 lines here, and it looks like they intersect at point J. So J is actually on both lines. It says, give another name for segment GH. Now, I know that GH looks like a line, and it is. It can be a line, but if it's talking about the segment GH, it's just talking about from here to here. Okay? Even though the picture has it drawn as a line, it's just talking about the segment from here to here and it stops. Well, honestly, if you you only need 2 letters to write a segment. Okay? Now, if I just say J for the segment, is that the same as GH? Is this segment the same as this segment? Now, they would be the same line if you extend it to infinity. But segments aren't infinite, are they? They stop. So is this the same as this? No. So I'm probably not going to use J. What's another way I can write GH? HG. With the little segment bar over it. So HG. It says name all rays with endpoint J. Which ones are opposite rays? How many rays does endpoint J make? There's 4 of them, right? If J is the endpoint, then I got 4 rays shooting off, don't I? Okay? Somebody tell me 2 opposite rays that point J makes. Well, obviously the endpoint's J, isn't it? So that means every one of them are going to start with J. So give me another letter. JF. Okay? And are JF and JG opposite rays? No. So I'm going to write it down here. Right, because if my point's right there, the opposite of JF is JE, because that makes a line, right? So I'm just going to write it with their opposite ray. And then, I need to put an arrow. And which ray is the opposite ray from JG? JH. So remember, endpoint goes over the J, the arrow goes over the other letter. Because the endpoints are at J. So I wrote them with their opposite ray. Is that good with everybody? We getting it? Y'all try these 2, please. After my lesson. No, I'm not putting up with this. Give me your gym. Then you're not allowed to go anyway. Sit down. All right, somebody give me another name for segment EF. FE. What symbol goes over it? Just a straight bar, no arrows, correct? Are HJ, ray HJ and ray JH the same ray? Are they the same ray? What do y'all think? They're on the same line, but are they the same ray? Why not? They have different endpoints. It says explain, so you can't just say yes or no in geometry class. Okay, if it says explain, I need a sentence. Okay? And no, they are not is not a sentence that I'm talking about. You got to say why. So no, they're not because they have different endpoints. Does that make sense? If it was talking about lines or segments, they would be, but they are rays, so they have different endpoints. All right, the next thing we need to talk about today is an intersection. An intersection. You don't have to write down that example 3. We're not going to do it. We're going to go over it out loud. Can I erase the sentence? Is that okay with y'all if I take off notes? That's it. Y'all are fast then. Okay, my thing's not erasing. It's being slow. This program is slow. All right. So, geometric figures intersect if they have one or more points in common. Okay, so anytime they have points in common, they intersect. So look at page 4. Y'all should have your book open. Page 4, in the middle of the page where it talks about intersections, there's 2 pictures. One of them is 2 lines crossing. 2 lines cross at a point. The next picture, you have a red plane, or it's actually an orangey color, and a blue plane, and they cross. What are 2 planes cross made? But what is it? Okay, they're crossing each other at a line. Do y'all see that? The red plane and the blue plane on that picture, they make a line. Okay, so 2 points intersect at a point, or 2 lines intersect at a point. 2 planes intersect at a line. All right. Example 3 there is just showing you what pictures mean. Like example A, example 3 down there at the bottom is sketching a plane and a line that is in the plane. So if a line is in the plane, that means it's actually, you can see it on top of the plane like example A is. Example B there is a plane and a line that does not intersect the plane. So it'd be like my paper right here and my pencil over here. They never cross each other. They're like running parallel. Y'all see that? All right, so C is a plane with a line that goes through it. So the line, it's like my pencil going through my paper, they cross at a point. So a line and a plane intersect at a point. All right, let me see now. We're about done. All right, look at example 4, where it says guided practice over there. Where it says on page 5, where it says guided practice. We're going to do that together. I'm not going to draw it. We're going to do number 5. Look at those 2 blue planes intersecting. Y'all see those? On page 5, this is the last thing we're doing, I promise. So y'all just help me. You don't have to write anything down. Name the intersection of line PQ and line K. So everybody with me, look at those 2 blue planes. Find line PQ and line K. Where are they crossing each other at? Point M. Y'all see that? 2 lines intersect at a point. I'm going to write it down, but y'all don't have to. So look at number 6. Name the intersection of plane A and plane B. Line K. Do y'all see that? 2 planes intersect in a line. And 7 says name the intersection of line K and plane A. So look at line K, which is that line where they're intersecting, and plane. This is a trick question. Where do you think they're intersecting at? What's a line and a plane? Well, the line is in the plane, right? So it's technically line K. That one's a trick question. I don't like that question. If that was a test question, I would throw it out because it's confusing. All right. So what y'all are going to do, that's the end of the lesson. I'm going to stop the recording. Have a good day.